Welcome to Arohan Uncut. Today we will discuss about dealing with a failure due to unrealistic expectations from the book Success Mantra by Dr. Seema Borah. Professor and psychologist Janet Polivy posits that people don't behave logically when time and time again they try to introduce a change in their lives despite previous failures. According to her concept of the false hope syndrome, many individuals are stuck in the cycle in which they have unrealistic expectations about accomplishing their goals. They tend to be wrong about the speed, amount, ease, and consequences of their attempts. They try, fail, brood over it, process it, and try again, but with the same unrealistic expectations, which guarantees yet another failure. Bob wants to lose 50 pounds as quick as possible. He sets a goal to burn excess fat within 3 months. This new diet he has just read about looks easy, and after all, what's so difficult about losing weight? When he steps on the scales 2 weeks later, he realizes he has lost only 4 pounds. There's also a little difference in his appearance, frustrated at all slow pace and his restrictive crash diet. He gorges on fast food for the entire week. A month passes. Bob realizes he really needs to lose weight. He will reach it this time. He measures himself. He just did not try hard enough with his previous attempt. He picks a new popular diet. This one will surely work, and starts again. 3 weeks later, Bob is seen filling his shopping cart with so much junk food that he can barely push the cart to the counter. This process repeats over and over again. After each failure, Bob rejects the notion that his approach is flawed. He either didn't try hard enough or it was the wrong diet. He never questions that maybe it's not about little adjustments, that his entire approach needs to change to one of focusing on sustainable results and permanent changes. As Janet Polivy asks in her paper, do those who succeed on their 6th attempt succeed by using once again the same strategy that failed on the previous 5 attempts? Or do those who succeed on the next 6th attempt do so because they have adjusted their strategy to make it more realistic and therefore more likely to succeed? If you repeatedly fail with the same goal, it's possible you set unrealistic expectations and are stuck in the false hope loop. Here are 3 principles to avoid chasing impossible goals. The first point, do proper research. Ignorance is the culprit of the false hope syndrome. A person who wants to make a positive change in life will exhibit overexcitement and readiness to start as quick as possible, usually at the expense of doing proper research. Note that this usually happens to a person who doesn't know much about the goal they want to reach. Elon Musk can say that he will send people to Mars within a decade because he is already an extremely accomplished entrepreneur and knows a lot about the space industry. Your neighbor is an unlikely space pioneer unless he happens to be a millionaire astrophysicist. He would make a better start in the business world by building an e-commerce store that landscaping company. To avoid failing due to unrealistic expectations, make sure to carefully research the feasibility of your goals. Can you really lose 10 pounds a week? Does an average entrepreneur build a 6-figure business in 6 months? Has any world-class performer become one after mere year of training? Explore different strategies to reach your goal. primarily focusing on the ones that have been proven to work for numerous people before. A revolutionary system to become golf star within 6 weeks might sound exciting, but it's the plain old regular practice in a day out for years that delivers real world sustainable results. Point 2. Be open to changing your approach. If you have already failed a couple of times and want to try again, consider completely changing your approach rather than trying the same approach again and expecting different results. Perhaps the approach you have taken is not profound on healthy principles or doesn't work in your unique situation. When you close your mind to alternative approaches, you can get stuck in the failure loop forever. It's like trying to dig a metro tunnel into a trowel. No matter how hard you work, you won't accomplish it in your lifetime. What do you need is professional machinery, not more energy to dig with a trowel. Point 3. Accept that things rarely go as planned. Peter Drucker once said that most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Before the construction of the countryside house of my parents commenced, I have previously mentioned that financing this project was one of my most important reasons to build a successful business. Everyone told me that in construction, everything takes twice as long as costs twice as much. I didn't believe it. After all, if you hire the right team and budget properly, it's impossible that such a thing can happen, right? How wrong I was. Everything did cost much more, I did take much longer. It made me realize that even with the most careful calculations, you will probably still overestimate how much you can achieve in a given period of time. If you refuse to accept this reality, say hello to the failure loop. When setting a new goal and deadline, remind yourself that ultimately, even if you don't achieve something by your self-imposed deadline, you are still farther ahead. It's illogical to quit because during 3 months you have lost just 10 pounds instead of 20. Yet that's precisely what many people do. They assume that since things didn't work exactly as planned, they failed. Then they get frustrated, turn to junk food to reassure themselves, and few weeks later, the pounds they have lost are back. To sum up, to avoid failure due to unrealistic expectations, focus on the 2 key actions. Ensure that your expectations are realistic by performing thorough research. Putting on rose-colored glasses and living in the world of happy ignorance is not a good way to reach your goals. There will be time for moonshot goals once you have become an expert and can accurately estimate the probability of reaching those big dreams. Number 2, develop patience and accept that even if you are the greatest project manager in the world, you will still fail to account for every surprise, delay, and setback. What's important isn't reaching the goal by a given deadline, it's reaching the goal, period.